Okay, Maisie said that she would like it if I tried to make the knockoff Starbucks bacon egg bite. Since starting Carnivore in January, we have been continuously talking to the girls about how what you eat affects how you feel. It affects everything. My kids are 14 and basically 17, my girls. And so they're, I don't control everything they eat because there's no way I could. It's not like they're toddlers and I provide all of their food. My older daughter has a job, she drives, and I also don't want to be restrictive like that with them because they're older, and talking to them and giving them the information and the tools they need to make the best health choices is more important when your kids are teenagers than when they are toddlers or elementary school, and you have a lot more control. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world, that kind of concept. You can't use the same type of parenting on older kids than you do when your kids are young. So because we are so late to the game, not really late to the game, but because my kids are older, my girls are older, when we figured this out, we talk about it a lot. And, that was what you want as a parent. You want your kids to make good choices based on the information that they get and the biofeedback they get from their body, and understanding the link between these different things. And they've seen me as an example, seen Dale as an example. So I am going to try the Great Pumpkin debate with them because they know like tons of junk food and tons of sugar are not optimum. That's not optimal for their health. And they know how it makes them feel, and they have that association. But they still do have junk food. They do still eat candy. So because they are not metabolically unhealthy, they're still young, they haven't had years of damage. And, they are in charge of their own. They're in charge of themselves. Like I said, my one daughter's almost an adult. Well, legal adult. And if I had this information when I was her age, I could have figured it out better, but you don't know what you don't know. So my point is, now that my kids are older and have all had, candy and sugar and carbs and junk food their entire lives, a smart choice for me as a mom is not to parent them with restriction, because that is just not going to be effective, and it's going to backfire. And so I tell, we talk about this all the time. I always say, please just eat your protein first. If you're still hungry, eat some junk food. They do have junk food, but they know that, I don't restrict them. And we do still buy some junk food. We do buy very little sugar things. Really, most it's salty snacks like chips, that kind of, small packets of like Pringles or Pirate's Booty, which is chips. Everything like that is just basically a potato chip, if you look at the ingredients. And I'm not saying that that's good, but they have a choice. And so I don't want them to feel restricted, because I don't want them to develop, a binge or a disordered eating pattern because they feel like, they can't have it. So we just talk about a lot about choices. Okay, do you want that? All right. Just know that it might cause breakouts, or it might cause your stomach to be upset, and it will make your anxiety, shoot up. So that's now if they were young, shoot, I wouldn't buy any junk. They would only eat that, and it would not take long for them to adapt to that way of eating. But like I said, we didn't know about it then. We always thought that, they need to eat more vegetables and blah. So anyway, I did talk to Sophie about the Great Pumpkin exchange for her candy, and she was game. I did tell her that the Great Pumpkin would bring her something that she's been wanting. So That's exciting. I'm excited about that. Dale is going to look to see if there is a USO or military group that sends candy to, you know, military people, service people that are working and, you know, overseas or whatever. He's going to investigate that. He did talk about how much fun it was to have, you know, to get a shipment or a care package from home when he was stationed in Korea. He was in the Army from way before we knew each other, and plus Dale is much older than me, so he's 7.5 years older than me. So he was in the Army from 1987 to 1991. At the time, you know, that was when the Desert Storm engagement happened, but he didn't get sent there. He got sent to Korea and Camp Stanley, which was, I don't think it's still an open base. I'm going to look, but I'll let you know. But it was right along the DMZ. It was very close to the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone that separates North Korea and South Korea. And at the time, you know, he signed up for the Army a month after he graduated from high school. And, you know, he learned a lot being in the Army, and it grew him up, because I think he was a little bit of a hellion before that. But always very sweet and kind-hearted, class clown type of hellion. So he's going to do that, because I thought, you know, I just want to throw that candy away, because it's, you know, it doesn't do anybody any good. And he did say, well, you know, he wanted to look into it. Because when he was at Camp Stanley station there, he said he got, I think he said, I forget if it was his family or somebody, you know, from church, sent him 24 Milky Way candy bars. And again, this was in 1990. They would also send him VCR tapes with wrestling matches on, you know, so you could watch those. He said it was, you know, it was a bright spot for him to get those treats, because, and he shared them with the other service people. Okay, Maisie said that she would like it if I tried to make the knockoff Starbucks bacon egg bites. And I reached out to Laura, and she sent me because I saw Laura Spath do it, but it was in her stories. So she was so nice and sent me her inspiration for it, or the recipe that she followed. I went to Walmart yesterday and I got this. It's silicone. It's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna work on these and I'll be back. 1/4 cup of cottage cheese. My family, we all like cottage cheese, so that's great. 1/2 cup of this cheddar, 6 eggs, salt. I think it was a 1/4 teaspoon. Yeah. And then I started to put in the bacon, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to put the bacon in like that. So I went back and reread, and it said to mix these first ingredients and then go back in and add the, you know, some bacon, and then pour them in the mold, blah, blah, blah. So those are the ingredients. I did tweak it a little bit because I didn't add pepper, and I definitely did not add anything green. Nobody here eats that stuff. It's gonna be a no from me, dog. So, and then you bake them for like 25 minutes. All right. So I am gonna put a baking sheet on the second rack. All right, so the wells are not all filled. No big deal. I also cut up the bacon with some baking shears, some shears, and didn't realize, but I will eat when I try that plain one, because I do still have a little sensitivity to pork, but not, you know, gives me congestion. Sometimes I get a headache. So, all right, so that's before, and I will show you after. These turned out really good. I would probably add a little more salt. I'll have Maisie taste one of the ones with bacon. That one, didn't have any bacon, so I had that. So I'd definitely probably do a half teaspoon of salt. I think I'm going to make them plain in here. And we'll go from there. The consistency is very much like the Starbucks bites. Yeah, so these were they were okay. I did better on the salt level. I am having trouble not eating a lot, so because they have cottage cheese in them, I kind of want to avoid that a little bit. So these are good. I'm not going to sweat it. I'm experimenting. We'll see what happens. So the kids did like the ones with the bacon in them, so they can have those, before school for breakfast, to take them with lunch. I also bought lunch meat for the kids to take, like roll-ups. So that's this week done.